Ben left me stranded in the outskirts with a high temperature, just to tag along with his first love on a trip to the ocean. Over 6 years, he showed me how to be independent. But he told his first love that she was worthy of being adored by everyone. So honestly, I didn't really need him anymore. Excitedly on the phone, Mia yelled, "Ben, can you hear the waves crashing?" Ben's expression shifted drastically, and he slammed the brakes. "Mia, where are you?" Ben asked, his face showing a mix of concern and frustration. Mia laughed softly. I was feeling pretty down at first, but when I arrived at the beach, a long-lost sense of calm washed over me. "Ben, the sea at night is so dark. I'm kind of scared, but having my feet in the sand makes me feel grounded. The seawater is chilly, and I'm a bit cold. How about we grab some food?" "That place you said was awesome." Ben's voice stayed steady, but his hand was trembling on the phone. Eventually, he spotted Mia's flashing red location on the map. He wanted to turn the car around, but I grabbed his hand. Ben realized I was still in the car. Because of my interruption, he looked a bit annoyed and his eyes turned sharp. I forced a smile and muted the call. "Let me get out first. I need to go to the hospital. I've got a fever, 103 degrees Fahrenheit. We left the party early so he could take me, but Mia's call made Ben forget about me. Ben was stuck between Mia and me. Mia, Ben, and I. I knew what he was saying. Basically, Mia was in a more urgent spot. She needed him more. And I was just sick, not a kid. "Can't I handle this myself?" Before he could respond, I nodded understandingly. "I get it. Go find her. I'll head to the hospital on my own." I stepped out of the car. I watched as the car stayed put for 5 seconds before turning around and speeding off. Mia was Ben's first love. Back in college, to impress her, Ben, who was allergic to mangoes, forced himself to eat a whole box. But eventually, Mia left him for someone else. It left Ben feeling down and worthless for a while. I didn't help him bounce back. By the time I met him, he had already moved past the heartbreak. He was confident, mature, stable, and introverted. He had been a mentor in my life, helping me become a better version of myself. It just wasn't going the way I wanted. Mia popped back into the picture 2 years ago. The so-called better choice not only cheated on her, but also mistreated her. Mia fell into deep depression. Ben became her therapist. He said he had long moved on and that Mia was just a patient now. Initially, that was true, until Mia stopped paying. And until that night when Ben gently told her, "You deserve to be loved by the whole world." Today was Ben's friend's birthday party. To have a good time, he found a farm on the outskirts. The place was beautiful with plenty of fun activities. The only issue was that it was too remote, and after 10 minutes, no one had accepted a taxi request on the app. I couldn't stand it anymore with the fever. I crouched by the roadside, debating whether to call 911. Suddenly, a car drove by in the distance. "Tom, what are you doing here?" I squinted to recognize him. He seemed like one of Ben's childhood buddies. "Tom." He got out of the car and helped me up. "What's wrong? Where's Ben?" I didn't want to expose Ben's actions to everyone. I just prayed, "Can you take me to the hospital? I might not make it much longer." When I said I might not hold up, I wasn't lying. As soon as I got in the car, I felt dizzy and closed my eyes. In a daze, I heard Tom calling Ben. He said, "Even if you have something urgent, even if Mia is about to jump into the sea and commit suicide next second, you could have called us and one of us would have taken your wife to the hospital." If I hadn't left suddenly, she could have collapsed on the roadside and no one would have cared. She's not a kid. Of course she's not a kid, but did you forget we're in the suburbs? Can she just conjure up a car? "Ben, you're such a jerk." Although Ben's actions didn't affect me much, hearing someone defend me made me smile. Maybe because I was feeling relaxed, I dozed off halfway through the ride. When I woke up, it was late at night. There were no messages or missed calls from Ben on my phone. Instead, Tom texted me, "It's Tom. I had to leave early. I've arranged someone to look after you. Please reply when you wake up." So I messaged back, "I'm awake. I'm okay. Thanks." Adding, "Let's grab a meal when you're free." The next morning, after getting some fluids, I took a day off work and went straight to my friend's law firm. His assistant handed me the divorce papers and said, "If you need to file a lawsuit, hit me up anytime." I thought it shouldn't be necessary, but I nodded and thanked him. When I got home, Ben wasn't there. Judging by the home's setup, he hadn't come back all night. I didn't call him, took out my suitcase, and started packing. My stuff in the house was dwindling. Only 3 pairs of shoes left in the shoe rack, and clothes in the wardrobe were from this season. I had already emptied the study. Last week, I moved the computer and files to the new place. As for other items, instead of dealing with the hassle of moving, their best fate was to be thrown away. I made 8 trips back and forth to get rid of everything. Only the suitcase stood upright in the living room, waiting for Ben. He arrived around 6 o'clock. When he saw the suitcase, he paused. "You're going on a business trip?" he asked. "No, I'm moving out," I said, showing him the divorce papers. "Let's get divorced." Ben hesitated for a few seconds, then rudely pushed me away. "Don't make a scene. I haven't slept all night and I'm tired enough." I tried to keep my tone calm. "I'm not making a scene. Take a look. If there's anything you're not happy with, we can discuss it." "Are you serious?" "Yeah," I replied. Ben sneered. "Anna, are you threatening me? A grown-up shouldn't do stuff like that. Divorce? Running away from home? You're not a kid anymore." I had heard those words too many times. Initially, I blamed myself, then got angry, but now I stayed calm. I insisted on handing him the divorce papers. "Take a look. If everything's okay, sign at the back." "Anna, enough," Ben growled softly. "If you keep this up, I might take it seriously." I locked eyes with him silently. Eventually, he forcefully looked away, grabbed the divorce papers from my hand, signed his name without even looking, and sternly told me to leave. But I reminded him, "We meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow at 8. We met through a blind date. I had just turned 20 and hadn't graduated from college yet. I went there just for fun. Ben stood out to me. I couldn't help but say, "Are all blind dates these high quality now?" Ben laughed. We knew neither of us had that in mind, so after exchanging a few pleasantries and numbers, we went our separate ways. I called Ben 3 months later because he was a psychologist. "Ben, I wanted to ask you, what does it mean if I hear my toothbrush talking to me?" Ben replied, "It means you need to see me." That day, I went through numerous tests and evaluations with Ben leading the way. Later, he told me, "You're sick. You need medication." "But I don't feel sick." Ben chuckled lightly. "Take the meds and you'll feel it." I relied heavily on Ben during that time. He was patient, gentle, always smiling, telling me, "It's okay, a minor issue. I can fix it." It took him a year to cure me and half a year for me to win him over. Now, after 6 years of dating and marriage, we were about to split before hitting the 7-year mark. But thankfully, I had come to terms with it. I snapped a photo of the divorce papers and posted an update on social media. The first to see it was my mom. Phone calls kept coming in, and messages poured in. I glanced at them briefly. They were either insulting or shameless. To avoid a heart attack, I immediately blocked her. The world was quiet again. The next second, Susan called. She was my best friend and the first to know about my impending divorce. She said, "I know you really want a divorce, but isn't it a bit too early to celebrate now?" I smiled. "It's not a celebration. I posted it for Ben to see." "What do you mean?" "He might think I'm just pissed. If I don't push him a little, he won't show up for tomorrow's divorce." Ben was 6 years older than me. My mom once said a 6-year age gap wasn't ideal. It was unlucky. But Ben's situation was too good, completely breaking superstitions, making my mom think I had good karma from a past life. Because of this age gap, Ben always treated me like a kid. When he was good to me, it was like caring for a child. When he wasn't, it was like scolding a kid. But he always said, "You're not a kid anymore." My post had an impact. The next morning, as I was getting ready to finalize the divorce, Ben was already there. But he wasn't alone. Mia was with him. She looked at me with a hint of helplessness. I heard Ben say, "You two are getting a divorce?" I was shocked. "Anna, you can't be so impulsive. If it's because of what happened the other night, I apologize, okay?" She used a soothing tone, but her eyes showed provocation. I curved my lips, then apologized. "What? Apologize? Weren't you asking for an apology?" Mia was taken aback, but reacted quickly. She grabbed Ben's wrist. "Looks like Anna is really angry. Ben, please help me say something." Ben with a cold face, "Is she a kid? Does she still need to be coaxed?" Ben, don't be like this. Didn't you promise to talk to Anna nicely? I interrupted her. Mia, I'm curious. Are we really that close? Mia's face turned pale. Ben sighed deeply. Anna, what happened to your manners? I was getting annoyed. If I remember right, our goal today is to get a divorce, right? So, Ben, are you just stalling? Ben's face darkened. We entered the office one after the other. After completing the divorce registration, the staff reminded us to return for the relevant documents in a month. Ben asked me, when are you going to pick up your stuff? I looked at him in surprise. Haven't you noticed? There's nothing of mine left in that house. Actually, it was understandable that Ben didn't notice. In the second year of our marriage, he suggested sleeping in separate rooms. He said, even in marriage, there should be personal space. That's how a lasting relationship is maintained. At that time, I truly trusted him. Even though I wanted more to share the same bed, I still agreed. From then on, even though we were intimate weekly, he would get up and leave afterward. A few times, I still agreed. From that point, even though we were intimate weekly, he'd get up and leave after. A few times, I grabbed him and asked if he could stay with me. He always looked at me like I was a naughty kid. Anna, we should keep our promises. Can't just say things and not do them. Later one time, his friend came over and found Ben sleeping in the guest room. He teased Ben, asking if I had driven him away. Ben said, I suggested sleeping in separate rooms. Why? She's too clingy, a bit annoying. When my mom came looking for me, I wasn't surprised. I had already given her the new address, not out of motherly love, but because I knew her well. If she couldn't find me there, she'd check my workplace. If she couldn't find me at work, she'd go to Ben. The last person I wanted her to bother was Ben. While I was sick, Ben analyzed my mom, her motives, and true intentions. My mom was transparent in front of Ben. Her so-called cleverness was obvious to him. And Ben's smile-like expression after seeing through her made me uncomfortable. Is Ben divorcing you? Did you do something to make him angry? Why make things so messy? How can you post these things on social media? Do you have no shame? I've told you, quickly have a kid. You're almost 30, still haven't had any. Why are you so useless? Why is my life so unlucky? Every time I go out, people say you're sick and can't have kids. Can't you save some face? I can't eat enough and sleep well every day now. I don't care, you go talk to Ben properly. If you dare to divorce him, I won't recognize you as my daughter. I'd heard these typical words countless times. They no longer evoked negative emotions in me, but I couldn't help but ask her, you don't care, why are we getting divorced? Why? What why? If you can't even keep your man, what's there to talk about? Why? Anna, let me tell you, if you dare to divorce, don't call me mom again. I went along. Okay, auntie. My mom stood stunned for a few seconds, then screamed, Anna? She looked like she was having a heart attack from my provocation. You can't stand to see me happy, can you? Do you have to make me angry? What did I do to wrong you? You want to kill me. I looked at the hysterical, roaring woman in front of me. She had no moral compass. She didn't know what should be done or not, as if divorce had broken a moral code. But it was her who, when my boss wanted to take advantage of me, demanded $50,000. It was for a summer job she found for me, a real estate development company where the CEO was my late father's high school buddy. She asked me to go there to learn finance. I went. And that man, whom I could call uncle after getting drunk, trapped me in the car. He said, as long as you agree, I'll book a room now and give you $5,000 a month. I was terrified. Shaking, I told my mom about it. She remained silent for a long time. $5,000 is too little. Tell him $50,000. If he agrees to $50,000, you can say yes. At that moment, I was numb. I numbly resigned and went back to school. But she didn't let me off. She forced me to return to that company saying, if you don't hand over your work properly, how can I face that person in the future? That person who wanted to take advantage of you. It was around that time that, due to severe depression, I became Ben's patient. I grabbed a kitchen knife and threw it in front of my mom. She recoiled, instantly silent. What are you doing? I said. It's up to you whether you want to commit suicide or stab me. As for the marriage, it's already settled. Deadly silence. My mom looked at me with a hint of fear. Using a knife was too extreme. I dragged her to the window. How about we jump down together? Since you don't want to live, I'll save you a life. My mom ran away in panic. At the doorway, she fiercely said, "If you want to die, die on your own. Don't involve me." Finally, the world was quiet. I lay down on the floor, mind blank, and fell asleep just like that. I was awakened by Ben's call. He asked, "What should we do with the bags and jewelry in your display cabinet?" I paused before realizing what he was saying. "All the stuff you sent, you can have it back now." Ben said coldly, "Once something is given, it's not meant to be taken back. If you don't want it, just throw it away." After that, I hung up the phone. I was considering blocking Ben, but then I remembered we still needed to stay in contact for the divorce proceedings. I thought, knowing Ben's nature, once he faces resistance from me, he won't take any initiative again. But to my surprise, on the fourth day, he called me again. At that time, I was out having dinner with Tom. Tom seemed aloof at first glance, but he turned out to be quite gentle when we interacted. His gentleness was different from Ben's. Ben seemed warm on the surface, but cold inside, while Tom exuded a depth that comes with time. I expressed my gratitude to him. He asked about my health, and then we talked about our respective jobs. When he heard that I now worked at a tax firm, he was surprised. I chuckled and said, "I passed the CPA exam 2 years ago and switched jobs." Tom nodded and remarked, "Impressive. It's Ben's loss." I lowered my gaze. He probably still didn't know about my job change. In Ben's eyes, I was always deemed worthless. When I mentioned wanting to pursue the CPA, his response was, "Don't waste your time on things beyond your capability." Tom wasn't a gossip, so that topic quickly passed. We chatted a bit more and then ended dinner. As we were leaving the restaurant, Ben called. He asked, "Where's the body wash at home?" I kept silent. Suddenly, Mia's voice came from the background. "Forget it. Why did you even call Anna? Now she's misunderstood." "I'm not taking a shower." I chuckled softly. "The body wash is on the bottom shelf of the cabinet, and the bathrobe is on the top. Have fun?" "Wait," Ben's voice sounded urgent. "Don't jump to conclusions." Mia and I were dining nearby, and the waiter accidentally spilled soup on her. I smiled lightly. "You don't need to explain to me." Tom caught me as I almost tripped. He said, "Be careful." Ben fell silent. After a few seconds, he growled softly, "Who are you with?" Confused, I furrowed my brows. "We're divorced." Tom said, "If you want, I can go and explain to Ben." I looked at him. "Don't you believe that I truly want a divorce from him?" Tom stared at me for a long moment. Finally, he said, "I believe you." I smiled faintly. "Thanks." I thought I'd made it clear enough. Ben, however, began bombarding me with calls. He even found my house. When Tom dropped me off at the neighborhood entrance, Ben rushed out of the car and threw a punch at Tom's face. "I treated you like a brother, and you tried to seduce my wife." Tom endured the hit. Ben was about to throw another punch, but Tom restrained him. He said, "That's enough." I ran over and pushed Ben away. "What's gotten into you?" Ben looked at me in disbelief. "You're protecting him." I gritted my teeth. "Are you out of your mind?" Mia arrived late and grabbed Ben's hand, looking disapprovingly at me. "Anna, you're being unreasonable. Even if you're upset, you shouldn't meddle with Ben and Tom's friendship." Tom smirked coldly. "Mia, do I know you well?" Mia turned pale. "Tom, I know you don't like me. If you know I dislike you, then don't speak. Enough." Ben always instinctively defended Mia. He stepped in front of Mia and glared coldly at Tom. "Since when did you two start?" I sighed impatiently. "Ben, you see everything as messed up just because you are messed up?" Mia interjected. "But you got out of Tom's car. The passenger seat is only for girlfriends, right?" I tilted my head at her. "So you knew." Mia looked aggrieved. I get carsick." Everyone could see she was making a fuss and twisting the truth, except for Ben, who turned a blind eye. I looked at Ben, feeling emotionally drained. "What's your intention? Why can't you just leave me alone? Do I deserve to be tormented by you?" Ben looked perplexed. "Tormented? You think I'm tormenting you?" I said flatly, "How did you know where I live? Ask my mom, right? You know her better than I do. You know that whenever you reach out to her, She thinks there's still hope between us. She'll come and pester me again and again. But you don't care, because how I handle my relationship with my mom is my business, not yours. That's directly from Ben. It's your mom. You should learn to manage your relationship with her yourself instead of asking me each time. Otherwise, what was the point of all the therapy I've given you over the years? But her? I pointed at Mia. You can handle everything for her, how she interacts with friends, family, all directed by you. Why is that? Because in your eyes, Ben, she deserves all the love in the world, while I'm left to handle everything on my own. I can handle it. Ben, you've taught me to stand against the world, so I don't need you anymore. Because of Ben and Mia, Tom was inexplicably brought back to my home, but he didn't come inside. Just as we stood at the doorstep, he said to me, "Rest well. Good night." I felt a bit sorry for him, but I was too tired, physically and emotionally drained, lacking even the strength to speak. All I could do was nod and watch him leave. Ben wanted to talk to me. I agreed. Our next meeting was at his studio, as I requested. I hoped our conversation would be more rational this time, but Ben remained aloof and condescending. He said, "I was wrong this time. I shouldn't have left you to find Mia." But Mia was in a critical situation at the time, and I was afraid she might do something reckless. I can't just stand by for a human life. She's my patient, you should understand. But I assure you, I'll handle our relationship properly. I pondered for a moment. It must have been about half a year ago when Mia was rear-ended and called him. You were up all night the previous night, but you still rushed over urgently when Mia called. Later, you explained to me that Mia had no one else to turn to except you. Ben frowned. What do you want to say? I want to ask you, if I rear-end someone, would you come with me? Of course, I said, and Ben stopped. He must have remembered what happened a month ago. The car broke down halfway due to an aging frozen liquid pipe bursting. That day my car was in for servicing, so I was driving his car, and naturally, I wanted to ask him how to handle it. He said, "If attacked, call the police. If sick, call an ambulance. If the car has an issue, contact the repair shop." Anna, this is common sense. Ben took off his glasses, pinching the bridge of his nose, irritably. Anna, let's be reasonable. The reason I said that day is that we had a fight the night before. I nodded. Yeah, we fought. So as long as I don't admit I'm wrong or lower my head, you'll have to punish me in every way. Shouldn't you admit when you've done something wrong? I stood up abruptly. The worst mistake I've ever made in my life is marrying you. Ben grabbed my arm. What do you want? I looked at him coldly. I want you not to go back on your word when the month is up. The boldest thing I've ever done in my life is to pursue Ben. He helped me when I was most helpless, to the point where I felt I couldn't live without him. Days without seeing Ben made me visibly haggard. I didn't know what was happening to me. I just knew I wanted to be with him. At that time, I was truly in love. I clung to him, was jealous and suspicious, all of which Ben disliked. So he gradually broke me down, then remolded me. Days passed without Ben looking for me. I went on 2 business trips. When I returned, the security guard told me my mother had tried to contact me 3 times, but they had blocked her each time. Mia somehow got my phone number and messaged me, accusing me. Because of you, Ben and Tom have completely fallen out. Are you happy now? I didn't want to engage, but I still called Tom. If you need it, I can explain to Ben. Tom replied, Do you need it? No, you don't. I don't need it either. I fell silent. Tom asked, Back from your trip. How did you know? I went to your office to find you. Anything up? The finance officer at the subsidiary suddenly wants to resign, can't find a suitable replacement, and asked if you could handle the accounts temporarily. I'm quite expensive. Tom chuckled softly. Then I'll try hard. Should be able to afford it. I laughed too. Okay, I'll come by tomorrow for a detailed discussion. After hanging up, I realized I had misunderstood. Talking with Tom was pleasant. The subsidiary's operations were minimal. Outsourcing the accounts was more cost-effective. After negotiating the price, we signed a contract. After signing, Tom checked the time on his wrist. I have a meeting downstairs, so I won't keep you. I breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed I had misjudged him. Sure, you're busy. Ben found me again on the 12th day, looking a bit disheveled. You've changed jobs, and you didn't even tell me. He frowned. What are you up to? Ben looked at me. Are you really asking for a divorce? What else? Why? Susan often said that in my relationship with Ben, even though he was 6 years older, I often indulged him. Whatever Ben wanted, I provided. Whatever Ben asked for, I did. So he became unrestrained, but also lost the ability to reflect. This is the last time. Let's talk. This time it was my turn to speak. I told Ben, I did tell you. I told you when I was studying for the exam, but you said I wouldn't pass. I told you when I changed jobs, but you didn't believe me and thought I was daydreaming. Even about buying a house, I didn't hide it from you. I've been renovating the new house since last year. I started moving things 2 months ago. Everything was right under your nose. Why didn't you ask yourself why you couldn't see or hear it? Ben was bewildered. But you weren't like this before, he said. I sarcastically smiled. Thanks to you, my mom isn't a good life mentor. She never told me what to do or not to do. She never taught me morals and values. I figured it all out for myself through trial and error. That's why my values developed so late. At the beginning of our relationship, you would always shake your head in disappointment and exclaim, "How do you not know these things? How were you raised?" If it were me now hearing those words, I'd definitely respond lightly. But back then, I truly felt ashamed and believed I was wrong. You told me a lot of truths and always demanded saint-like standards from me. I couldn't be weak, couldn't show negative emotions, couldn't ask you for help. Every word from my mouth had to be positive. I couldn't speak ill of others, couldn't complain about work, couldn't lack common sense, couldn't be content with pleasure. You were always blaming me, shattering my self-esteem inch by inch. Ben, do you know I once thought of suicide because it was so painful? I just remember crying and crying, as if I had cried all my tears out for a lifetime. Ben's face turned white, his lips trembled, and he stuttered, "You're my wife, I just hope you can become better." Ben, as a psychologist, why don't you use your expertise to think about the things you did to me before? Is it considered PUA? I raised my hand to stop him. You think about it. You really need to think about it. Ben had shattered my self-esteem inch by inch. It was me who picked up the pieces one by one. Then I patched them together to become who I am today. On the 18th day, Ben showed up downstairs at my place. He called me. "I was wrong. I've changed. Will you forgive me? I won't contact Anna anymore. I won't do things you don't like. What do you need me to do to make it up to you? I'll give my life for it, okay?" He brought mangoes, a whole box. He awkwardly swallowed them bite by bite. His lips and cheeks started to swell. His exposed arms visibly broke out in a rash. He didn't stop. When the ambulance arrived, he was struggling to breathe. I didn't show up until he was dragged into the ambulance. The hopeful light in his eyes gradually dimmed. He closed his eyes and fainted. The first person who found me was Mia. The jealousy in her eyes was almost unbearable. Why? He clearly still loves me. That was increasing his love for me. You two were already getting a divorce. Anna, what have you done? I looked at Mia and said, "Actually, I've always disliked you, but I didn't stop you from contacting Ben." You know why? Because your presence saved me. Because of Mia's presence, because of the way Ben looked at Mia with a lost expression, I suddenly realized that Ben was just a regular person. The second person who came to see me was my mom. She couldn't understand. Ben has gone this far. What else do you want? I also couldn't understand. Ben has always wanted me to cut off contact with you and asked me not to support you anymore. Do you still want me to be with him? My mom's face changed color and she ran off. The third person who came to see me was Tom. I thought it was about Ben too. However, he said, "Last-minute business trip. We rushed to the branch company overnight, did a handover with the finance team, who were about to go abroad, and sorted out the accounts. Due to time constraints, we had to stay there." Tom mysteriously said he would take me out to play. We arrived at a group of buildings. Then Tom told me, "This is Bar Street." Here? Is it doing business well? Tom sighed. If I had heard you say this earlier, I wouldn't have invested. I regretted listening to hearsay from friends and ended up in a loss-making deal. I didn't make any money, but I developed quite a skill in mixing drinks. I sat at the bar and watched him skillfully mix away. The only two customers in the bar approached and asked him to make drinks for them too. Tom smiled, pushed the drink he made in front of me. "Sorry, this one's just for you." That night, Tom became my personal bartender. I drank quite a lot, feeling tipsy, but not too drunk. The music in the bar was just right, the temperature perfect, even the breeze coming in through the half-open window was just right. I was feeling pleasantly lightheaded. Tom asked me, "Are you having fun?" I nodded. "I am." Ben said, "As long as you visit me in the hospital once, I won't regret the divorce." I went. When he saw me, he smiled, but it was a very ugly smile. "So, these days you haven't blocked me, you're willing to see me and talk to me. You're just afraid I'll regret it, right?" I nodded. Then he asked, "Do you really hate me?" I answered honestly, I did. I used to have a period of hating Ben. I hated meeting him. I hated that I loved him. But later, as I passed the CPA exam and changed jobs, I gradually became resigned. I told Ben, I understand myself, if I had a chance to start over, I would definitely make the same choice. The 20-year-old Anna needed Ben. Not you, this Ben, but any Ben. Would I be better off with someone else? No. At that time, I was indeed terrible because I attached myself to others. But thankfully, you pushed me away. The process was painful, but fortunately, the result was what I wanted. Ben, I don't hate you anymore. Not because you're not hateful, but because I don't want to dwell on the past. But at the same time, I don't forgive you either. Now, I just want to leave. Ben followed through with his words. He didn't regret it. We smoothly obtained our divorce certificate. He asked me, "Can we still be friends in the future?" I chuckled and replied, "You're a psychologist, what do you think?" I always remember something Ben once said, "The past cannot be changed, but the future has endless possibilities." People always need to grow. It's okay to stumble and fall. Even if you end up with bruises, don't look back. Keep moving forward. After the divorce, I promptly blocked and deleted Ben. The only person related to him that I kept in touch with was Tom. In the 4th month after the divorce, Tom told me that Ben had been reported. Mia accused Ben of having ambiguous relationships with his patients. Although the allegations were false, Ben wasn't affected. Mia didn't let it go. She escalated by claiming that Ben had seduced her during her treatment. She provided chat records, photos of them hugging, and a video of them kissing during a couple's discount event. Tom seemed surprised by the detailed news. He scrambled to turn off his phone, and I calmly said, "I already know." He fell silent. I wryly smiled and said, "Are you wondering why I knew everything but didn't leave him right away?" Still breaking free from my shackles. I needed to break free before I could escape, but I was too weak. I couldn't find the key, so I had to break my limbs. The sudden quietness around us was awkward. As I was thinking about breaking the silence, Tom patted my shoulder and said, "You're already so strong." I worked for Tom for a year until he found a suitable replacement for me. During that year, we visited a branch office every month. On those days, he would mix me a drink, and his pay was generous. I treated him to many meals, and somehow we became friends. Susan asked if he was trying to pursue me. I shook my head. I don't think so. "Do you like him?" she asked. I was puzzled. I never thought about it. I guess not. Susan wagged her head. "I advise you not to make assumptions." Due to Mia's report, Ben was fired. With a tarnished record, he struggled to find a good job again. Yet, even at this stage, he refused to be with Mia. Mia finally gave up. I heard Ben started a business, but it didn't do well. My best friend asked if I was happy about it. I nodded. "I'm quite happy." I provide financial support to my mom every month, but I don't see her much. She called me petty for holding grudges, but it didn't bother me. I'll still take care of her in her old age, but I've relinquished all my emotions toward her, whether love or hate. This state of mind makes me content. My birthday was at the end of the year. With few friends and reaching this age, I had no expectations for my birthday. But Tom invited me to dinner and celebrated my birthday. On the table were dishes I loved and a cake I liked. He gave me 2 gifts, one wishing me a happy birthday and the other asking me to be his girlfriend. I agreed to be happy and asked to be his girlfriend. Susan was astonished. That's it? He didn't even woo first. I chuckled. I enjoy being with him. Adult love has our own tacit understanding. It doesn't need grand gestures or vows. When it's right, it's just right. But I couldn't help asking Tom, when did you start liking me? I wasn't under any illusion that he had secretly loved me for years, but I always felt he had been good to me from very early on. Tom thought for a moment and said, I didn't have a deep impression of you at first. I just thought you were Ben's petite young wife, who didn't talk much but was very obedient. It wasn't until one time when I accompanied my mom to the temple. Tom wasn't keen on such activities, so he aimlessly wandered around the temple grounds. That's when he came across Anna. Anna was crying uncontrollably. Tom's first reaction was to avoid it. No one would want to be seen in such a mess by someone they knew. But he didn't leave in the end. Anna was crying too hard, curled up as if she had been wrung dry. Tom took a photo, thinking of sending it to Ben for him to deal with. But he didn't send it in the end. She was Ben's wife. Would she come to the temple to cry if she could find solace with Ben? Tom thought, never mind, don't do anything unnecessary. But he still did. He bought a pack of tissues and handed it to Anna. But he was at a loss for words. All he could say in the end was 3 words. Stop crying. Anna didn't remember who had handed her the tissue, but Tom engraved the despair in her eyes deeply in his heart. Initially, Tom didn't have any intentions. He was a committed bachelor. He didn't want to get married or be in a relationship. Too much trouble. Plus, she was his friend's wife. But every time they met, he always paid more attention to her, thinking to see if she was still so sad. Also thinking if he could do something to make her less sad. So at the KTV, he would casually direct the waiter to place the fruit platter near her. At the dining table, when the dish she liked was about to pass by, he would raise his hand to stop the turntable. But such opportunities weren't many. Tom thought, it's okay. At least let her be happier in my presence. None of these meant anything. He would also bring food for the stray cats downstairs. No purpose, just incidental, until they started talking about divorce. When Ben misunderstood them, he didn't explain. Firstly, in the past 2 years, he was becoming increasingly intolerant of some of Ben's behaviors. Secondly, he just wanted to express his stance. This girl was quite pitiful. I stood by this girl. He never thought he would be with Anna. He was a committed bachelor. Until his friend pointed out to him, are you playing a new kind of secret admiration? It took Tom 2 days to realize the reality. He took a deep breath. I kind of want to get married. What's going on? Tom and Anna got married in their 2nd year of dating. Ben also came. Tom kept him outside. Don't let her be upset. Ben scolded Tom for being hypocritical, saying he had plotted for a long time, saying he had ill intentions, saying they had already hooked up. Tom sighed. If it weren't for fear of wrinkling my suit, I really want to punch you. Halfway there, he turned back, telling Ben, really not, don't insult her, making it seem like she was cheating in the marriage. That's not acceptable. Anna was very innocent. Anna was the one being bullied. After marriage, Tom and Anna always lived in their own world. Tom didn't want children. After being a committed bachelor, he found himself wanting to be child-free. His mom said he always acts on his thoughts, but she didn't pressure him. After all, he was willing to get married. However, Tom was nervous. He didn't want to hide it from Anna, but also afraid she wouldn't accept it. Anna, after listening, just nodded. Perfect. I don't want to have kids either. In fact, Anna was also hesitating on how to tell Tom. Getting married to someone but not having children, that's not fair. But she didn't have the confidence to be a good mother. Her first half of life was too messed up. It was fortunate if she could heal herself in the second half of life. A life's proposition is too weighty. If she couldn't give a satisfactory answer, she'd rather not answer. But luckily, the 2 of them actually reached an agreement. The only one who frowned upon this was Susan. Do you believe him? He used to be a committed bachelor. If one day he decided he wanted kids, what would you do? Men can have kids at any age. Anna was calm about this. You're looking at it the wrong way. The issue here is I don't want to have kids, and he also doesn't want to. So we agree and got married. To not want to have kids, and he also doesn't want to. So we agree and got married. To want or not to have kids is his decision. Not wanting to have kids is my stance. If we can agree, we stay together. If not, we part ways. It's that simple. But isn't it sad? Anna lifted her head from the report. Just because you're afraid of getting hurt and don't want to be sad, you won't start. I can't be cautious for a lifetime. Hearing these words, Tom felt quite happy. That girl who sobbed loudly, that girl who was so sad, seemed like she had grown up. No, she had been growing up all along. No one could defeat her.